Thabo's flashlight beam sliced through the midnight haze, locking onto the massive shape pacing the edge of the iron bars. The lion's golden eyes burned back at him, not with rage, but a deep, unyielding hunger that pierced straight through his chest. He froze, the weight of his new job settling like chains, paid to watch this beast, night after night, in the shadowed heart of a private reserve on the outskirts of Kruger. The air hummed with the low rumble from the enclosure, a sound that vibrated in Thabo's bones. He'd taken the gig out of desperation, after months scraping by in the dusty town of Hazyview, fixing tires and hauling crates for tourists who barely glanced his way. Mr. Vandermeer, the reserve owner, had clapped him on the shoulder with a grin too wide for those sharp eyes. "Simple work, boy. Keep an eye on my prize. He's wild, but the bars hold him 50 rand a night, cash in hand." Thabo needed it for his sister's school fees, but now, standing there, the lion halted its endless circuit, muscles rippling under scarred fur, and stared as if it knew his secrets before he did. If this story's gripping you already, hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend, and drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from. Let's build this community together. Thabo circled the perimeter slowly, boots crunching on dry gravel. The enclosure was a fortress, 12-foot fences topped with razor wire, floodlights that buzzed like angry hornets, and a heavy gate padlocked twice over. Vandermeer's operation wasn't your standard safari spot. Whispers in town spoke of high-end clients who paid fortunes to face beasts like this up close, under controlled chaos. Thabo had nodded along, not asking details. But this lion, this one felt different. Its mane was thick and battle-worn, paws the size of dinner plates pressing against the bars with deliberate force. No zoo polish here. This was raw wilderness crammed into captivity. He leaned closer, heart pounding a rhythm that matched the lion's heavy breaths. Up close, he saw the truth, ribs faintly outlined beneath the tawny hide, eyes ringed with exhaustion that no wild animal should bear. A fresh chain around one hind leg, chafed raw patches glinting dully in the light. Thabo's stomach twisted. He'd grown up hearing his grandfather's tales of the great cats roaming free across the Lowveld, symbols of untamed power. This one wasn't performing tricks for snapshots. It was waiting. For what? Thabo couldn't say, but the certainty hit him like a thunderclap. It belonged to the bush, not this cage. Shaking off the chill, Thabo checked the logbook in the guard shack, a cramped tin hut stocked with lukewarm coffee and a radio that crackled static. His shift ran till dawn, alone with the lion's gaze. He scribbled the time, 2:17 a.m., and noted the beast's activity, pacing, alert, routine. But as he sat, the lion began again, a slow prowl that built into deliberate lunges at the fence. Clang, clang. Each impact echoed like a drumbeat, testing the metal's resolve. Thabo gripped the radio, thumb hovering over the call button. Call Vandermeer? Admit the job unnerved him on night one. No. Pride kept his hands still, hours blurred. Thabo paced his own circuit, mind wandering to safer memories. Childhood hunts with his father, tracking spoor through thornbush, the thrill of harmony with the land. This felt like betrayal. By 4 a.m., exhaustion clawed at him, but sleep was impossible. The lion had stopped lunging, now sitting regal at the enclosure's heart, watching Thabo through the gloom. It was as if the animal sensed his doubt, feeding it like a spark to dry grass. Thabo approached the fence again, whispering old Zulu words his grandmother taught him, words for strength, for freedom. Ubuhle Bako, Mfana, beauty of the wild one. Foolish, maybe, but the lion's ears flicked forward. Dawn crept in, painting the sky in hesitant pinks. Thabo's relief shift, a burly Afrikaner named Piet, arrived with a thermos of coffee and a yawn. Quiet night? Piet grunted, eyeing the enclosure. Thabo nodded, throat tight. Yeah, he's been watchful. Piet laughed, a bark that grated. Watchful? That's his job. Vandermeer's got big plans for him. Clients flying in next week. You'll see fireworks. Fireworks. The word soured in Thabo's mind. He clocked out, pocketed his pay, and trudged to the bus stop, the lion's eyes haunting every step. Back in his one-room shack, Thabo couldn't shake it. He lay on the thin mattress, staring at cracks in the ceiling, replaying the night's vigil. Vandermeer's prize wasn't thriving. It was diminishing, spirit eroding bar by bar. Thabo's hands itched with unspent energy. Freeing it, madness. The fences were impenetrable, alarms wired tight, and Piet carried a rifle slung casual over his shoulder. But the thought lodged deep, a seed taking root. That night, shift 2, he packed extra. Wire cutters from his toolbox, gloves, a blanket to muffle sounds. The lion was waiting when Thabo arrived. Same spot, same piercing stare. Tension coiled tighter as he patrolled. Around 1 a.m., Piet called in sick, fate or fortune. Thabo was alone again. He tested the outer fence first, snip by careful snip, heart slamming against his ribs. No alarms yet. Sweat beaded despite the cool air. Closer now to the inner bars. The lion rose, silent muscles quivering. Thabo froze. One wrong move and those jaws could end everything in a flash of power. He whispered again, "Hold, brother. Just hold." Clippers bit into chain links, sparks flying soft in the dark. The lion paced inches away, breath-hot gusts through the gaps. Thabo's arms burned, mind-racing scenarios. Vandermeer's truck roaring up the track, Piet's rifle bark, his own life unraveling in an instant. But retreat wasn't in him. Snap! The chain parted. The lion tested it, paw flexing free. Thabo stepped back, pulse thundering. The gate loomed next, heavy, bolted, time stretched thin. He wedged the cutters, heaved with all his strength. Metal groaned. The lion watched, patient, ancient wisdom in its gaze. Click, the bolt gave. Thabo swung the gate wide, a yawning invitation to the night. The lion didn't charge. It paused, nostrils flaring at scents long denied. Acacia, earth, endless plain. Then, with a fluid surge, it bounded out, mane flowing like a banner. Thabo flattened against the shack wall, barely breathing as it brushed past, a whirlwind of muscle and intent, vanishing into the scrub. Sirens wailed, distant. Alarms tripped at last. Thabo bolted for the shadows, legs carrying him toward the riverbed trail. Freedom for the lion, pursuit for him. Vandermeer's voice boomed over the radio left behind. "Thabo! What have you done?" He didn't answer. The bush swallowed him whole. Days turned to a haze of hiding. Thabo holed up in an abandoned kraal, foraging what he could, ears tuned to every vehicle rumble. Word spread fast. The reserve star escaped, guards scrambling, clients rerouted. Vandermeer's fury painted Thabo as thief, saboteur. But in quiet moments replaying the lion's leap, a fierce peace settled. He'd chosen right. One evening, as stars wheeled overhead, a rustle in the brush snapped him alert. Not men, tracks too wide, too deliberate. He followed at dawn, heart lifting. Fresh kills dotted the trail, impala neatly taken. The lion was reclaiming its throne, stronger already, yet pursuit closed in. Drones buzzed the skies now, trackers with dogs combing the flats. Thabo pushed deeper into the park's wild core, where rangers rarely ventured. Vandermeer wouldn't quit. This was personal now, a grudge etched in lost profits. If you're still here, loving this tale of courage and wild hearts, smash that like button, subscribe for the Thabo crested a ridge, breath ragged, and there it was, the lion, perched on a termite mound, surveying its reclaimed domain. Their eyes met across the distance, no cage between them. Thabo smiled, the first real one in weeks. The beast had chosen life unbound. Now, so must he. Thabo lingered at the edge of the clearing, the savannah's whisper pulling at him like an unspoken promise. The lion's silhouette faded into the golden grass, a shadow reclaiming its rhythm. But freedom came with echoes. footsteps crunching behind him, deliberate and close. He spun, heart slamming against his ribs. Elias, his employer, stood there, arms crossed over a faded khaki shirt, stained by years of dust. The man's face was a map of hard lines, eyes sharp as snare wire. "You think I wouldn't notice?" Elias's voice cut low, no shout, just the weight of certainty. He nodded toward the empty enclosure, the gate hanging crooked where Thabo had pried it loose under moonlight. Thabo's mouth went dry. Elias owned the private reserve on the outskirts of Kruger, a place where wealthy tourists paid to glimpse caged wildness without the risk. Thabo had been the night watch, paid just enough to keep his family's shack from crumbling, his sister's school fees from lapsing. The lion had arrived months ago, smuggled in from a raid gone wrong, its spirit dimmed by iron bars and meager rations. Thabo had fed it scraps, watched it pace, felt its gaze pierce his own trapped days. "I had to," Thabo said, voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. "That beast wasn't meant for chains, neither am I." Elias stepped closer, the air thickening between them. He wasn't the brute Thabo once imagined, no whip-cracking tyrant. Elias had stories of his own, orphaned young, built this land from poacher scraps into a fragile empire. Freedom's a pretty word, boy, but it starves. That lion roams now, sure. And you? Rangers patrol these borders. Word spreads. Your job's gone. Rent's due. What then? Thabo held his ground, the sun dipping low, painting the acacias in fire. He thought of the lion's eyes earlier, not rage, but recognition, a mirror to his own quiet rebellion. Elias wasn't wrong. The reserve paid for everything. The tin roof over his head, the clinic visits for his ailing mother. Freeing the lion meant choices narrowing like a dry riverbed. Night fell swift, stars pricking the velvet sky. They walked back in silence, Elias's flashlight beams slicing the path. At the compound, lanterns flickered around the workers' quarters. Thabo's bunk was a narrow cot in a row of them, shared air heavy with sweat and unspoken debts. Elias paused at the door. "Meet me at dawn. Truck by the fence line. We'll track it. Can't have it stirring trouble." Thabo nodded, but sleep evaded him. He lay staring at cracks in the ceiling, mind racing through futures. Quit and drift to Johannesburg's sprawl, chasing city jobs that chewed men whole. Stay and beg forgiveness, chain himself deeper. The lion's roar echoed faintly from the distance, a call to something wilder. Dawn broke with a haze, the truck rumbling over rutted tracks. Elias drove, rifle propped casual across his lap. Not for killing, he claimed, just warning shots. Thabo scanned the bush from the passenger side, every rustle a potential shadow. They found prints first, massive paws pressing into red earth, veering toward the park boundary. "There," Elias pointed. The lion crouched by a waterhole, drinking deep, muscles rippling under tawny hide. No frenzy, just deliberate sips, ears flicking at birdsong. Thabo's chest tightened. It thrived already, unbound. Elias killed the engine. Silence stretched. "You see it now? It's not grateful, it's surviving, like us." He turned, eyes probing. "I brought you here because you understand animals, not like the others half-asleep fools. But this crosses lines. Poachers circle these parts. That lion draws them like flies." Thabo met his gaze. "You cage them to keep them safe." Elias's laugh was bitter, short. "Safe? From what? The world's not kind to the free. My father lost everything to rhino horns. Greed took him. I built walls to protect what's mine." The revelation hung heavy. Elias, the iron-fisted boss, driven by ghosts, not villainy, but scarred survival. Thabo glanced at the lion, now lifting its head, amber eyes locking on the truck. Tension coiled, one wrong move and the bush could erupt. Hours blurred into a stalk. They paralleled the tracks on foot, thorns snagging trousers, heat pressing like a hand. Elias spoke in fragments. His rise from squatter camps, deals with tour operators, the thin line between legal reserve and shadow trade. Thabo shared his own, village boy, dreams of veterinary school crushed by drought, sister's illness pulling him back. Bonds formed in the grind, fragile as spider silk. By midday they crested a ridge. The lion lay sprawled under a marula tree, chest rising slow. Elias raised the rifle, scope glinting. Thabo's hand shot out. No. Elias lowered it, surprise flickering. It's ranging too far. Could raid kraals, turn villagers hostile. Thabo stepped forward, pulse thundering. Or it D's its place, like we must. He thought of the enclosure's rust, the lion's wasted frame. Freeing it had cracked something in him, a resolve to redeem his cage. Elias watched, conflicted. The rifle stayed down. Minutes ticked. The lion rose, stretched languid, then melted into thickets without a glance. Gone. Back at the truck, Elias exhaled. You're fired, but take the old Jeep. Tools in the back, fix it up. There's land east, fallow plots. Rangers owe me favors, quiet ones. Start small. Watch the wild from afar, on your terms. Thabo blinked. Not mercy, a trade. Elias extended a hand, calloused and firm. Don't waste it. Freedom's earned daily. The drive back stretched long, dust devils dancing in mirrors. Thabo gripped the wheel of his new life, the lion's path etched in his mind. Elias's reserve shrank behind, a chapter closing. Days turned to weeks. Thabo tinkered with the Jeep under starlight, bartered labor for seeds, planted maize on borrowed soil. His sister smiled wider, books piling neat. Elias checked once, truck idling distant, a nod through dust. Antagonist turned uneasy ally. One evening, as fireflies sparked the veld, Thabo climbed a kopje. The savannah breathed alive. Far off, a deep rumble rolled, a lion's claim on territory. His lion? Perhaps. It roamed free as he carved his, but shadows lingered. Poacher whispers reached the village, eyes on unfenced lands. Thabo patrolled nights, spear in hand, vigilance his new wage. Freedom wasn't a gift, it demanded teeth. If this tale of quiet defiance has you on the edge, hit that subscribe button, share with a friend, chasing their own unbound path, and drop a comment. Where are you watching from tonight? Elias called one dawn, voice clipped over crackling line. Trouble brewing. Tracks near the boundary. Meet me? Thabo grabbed his gear, engine coughing to life. The bush called again, tensions unresolved. The lion's freedom had sparked his, but chains evolved, now woven from loyalty, risk, survival's intricate web. They converged at the fence, air electric. Figures moved in the scrub, poachers, three shadows with snares and silenced intent. Elias signaled silent. Thabo flanked left, heart a war drum. The confrontation brewed subtle, a rustle, a whispered challenge. This land's claimed, Elias growled low. One poacher sneered, rifle twitching. By ghosts? Thabo emerged, spear leveled, standoff stretched, breaths held. The lion's roar shattered it, from the ridge a warning thunder. Poachers scattered, myths outweighing greed. Elias clapped Thabo's shoulder. Your beast, our border. Dawn gilded the horizon. Thabo returned home, soil under nails, purpose rooted deep. No grand escapes, just steps forward, wild heart echoing his own. Yet nights brought doubts. Whispers of Elias's deeper trades surfaced, fences hiding more than lions. Thabo weighed truths, alliances fracturing slow. He chose vigilance over blind trust, patrolled alone, Jeep headlights cutting dark. The lion, sighted again, ruled its expanse, scarred but sovereign. Thabo's plot greened, family steadied, freedom, hard won, bloomed thorny, but true. Like subscribe and share if Thabo's journey ignited your fire. Comment your wildest dream below. But whispers traveled faster than the wind across the savannah. Mr. van der Merwe, the landowner with eyes like sharpened flint, pieced together the truth from tracks in the dust and murmurs from the workers. His prized lion, meant for a high-paying client, gone. Van der Merwe's rage simmered, not in shouts, but in calculated steps. He drove his dusty bakkie to Thabo's modest homestead one dawn, the engine's growl echoing like a distant thunder. Thabo stood at his gate, hoe in hand, soil still clinging to his palms. His wife, Nomsa, lingered inside with their 2 boys, peeking through the curtain. "You took what was mine," Van der Merwe said, voice low, stepping out with deliberate slowness. No raised fists, just that stare, promising shadows. Thabo met it evenly. "It wasn't yours to chain, boss. That beast carried the wild in its soul. I gave it back." The air thickened. Van der Merwe circled closer, boots crunching gravel. "You think freedom comes free? My men saw the gate ajar. The lion's prince leads straight here." Thabo's pulse quickened, but he held ground. Memories flashed. The lion's eyes, not feral but knowing. A mirror to his own trapped years, guarding another man's dreams while his withered. "Pay me nothing now," Thabo replied, "but know this. Chains break both ways." If Van der Merwe paused, weighing options. Report Thabo, lose face among the farmers, chase the lion himself, endless bush. He spat to the side, a gesture of reluctant defeat. "You're done on my land. Pack up." But as he turned, Thabo spoke once more. "The earth here remembers. Plant your fences high, but wild things deep paths." The bakkie roared away, leaving dust devils swirling like unresolved questions. Thabo exhaled. Nomsa emerged, her hand ding his. "He'll return," she whispered. Thabo nodded. Tension coiled in his chest, not fear, but the weight of choice. That night, under a sky pierced by stars, he worked the plot by lantern light. Seeds pushed through soil, stubborn as his resolve. Days blurred into weeks. Crops sprouted unevenly, demanding every dawn. The boys helped, their laughter a fragile shield against doubt. Rumors swirled in the village. Some called Thabo foolhardy, others a quiet hero. Elder Mkize visited one evening, pipe smoke curling like secrets. "Van der Merwe tightens his grip elsewhere," the old man said. "Poachers circle his fences now, bolder without the lion's shadow." Thabo listened, stirring porridge over the fire. Freedom's echo rippled outward. Months carved deeper. Thabo's maize stood tall, golden under the sun. He bartered surplus at market, coins jingling like small victories. Nomsa wove baskets sold to tourists, their patterns echoing lion manes. The boys grew stronger, learning the land's rhythms, yet shadows lingered. Van der Merwe's truck passed occasionally, slowing at the gate, engine idling like unspoken threats. One storm-lashed night, thunder cracked the sky. Thabo bolted awake to a low rumble, not rain, but paws padding near the kraal. Heart slamming, he grabbed his spear, slipping into the downpour. Lightning flashed, revealing the lion. Larger now, mane thick as thornbush, eyes gleaming with recognition. It stood at the fence line, unmoving, not attacking, watching. Thabo froze. Rain sheeted down, blurring boundaries. The beast could leap, end it all in a blur, but it turned, vanishing into the dark. A sign, or warning? Dawn brought clarity. No tracks of harm, just paw prints veering toward the river, free paths reclaimed. Word spread. Van der Merwe heard, his plans unraveling, clients backed out, whispers of a cursed reserve chased away bidders. He sold parcels quietly, retreating to the city. Thabo bought a sliver of adjacent land with saved earnings, legal, earned through sweat, no handouts. His plot expanded, a green defiance, years folded like well-worn cloth. Thabo's farm thrived modestly, sustaining family and a few hands. Nomsa bore a daughter, her cries a new melody. The boys apprenticed with mechanics in town, dreaming bigger. Elder Mkize passed his pipe to Thabo one last time. You freed more than a lion, he said. You unchained yourself. Thabo walked the fenceless edges at dusk sometimes. Lion sightings dotted ranger reports, sightings of a massive male, elusive, ruling prides in the heartbush, sovereign. Thabo smiled faintly. Choices rippled, altering trajectories. Van der Merwe faded to irrelevance, his empire portioned out. One evening, as the sun bled orange across the horizon, Thabo sat with Nomsa on the porch. Their daughter chased fireflies, laughter bubbling. Was it worth it? She asked softly. Thabo gazed into the gathering twilight. Every thorn. Freedom isn't given, it's claimed. The savannah whispered agreement, winds carrying echoes of paws on eternal plains. Thabo's life, once tethered, now wove its own pattern, rooted, resilient, unbound. If Thabo's bold stand stirred something in you, hit that like button, subscribe for more tales of unbreakable spirits, share with a friend who needs this fire, and comment, what's the wildest chain you'd break?